If you ask ChatGPT the same question, it will give you a perfectly vague, detailed answer, but it won't think this long term. The regulators are not our enemies. They are our friends, and they're trying to make our life safer. In mathematics, before solving the problem, sometimes we just prove that we can solve it. We don't know how, but we can prove that we can solve it. They have like 10x more budget, but who cares? You have 10x more courage.
Welcome to Software Testing Unleashed, the podcast for testers, developers, and all project people who want to create great software. My name is Richie, I'm a software quality coach, keynote speaker, and author. And today I have an episode from the OOP conference in Munich this year. There I met Alexis Savkin, and we talked about the integration of AI in a product in a regulatory environment. He found a solution, how this combination can work, and how to make regulatory people happy. And now enjoy the episode. Hi Alexis, great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
I appreciate that you are here at the OOP in Munich here. New environment for this conference. And is this your first OOP? Or?
No, actually, it's I think the third one or the fourth.
Okay,
so I'm coming here depending on the year.
It's
actually good vibes here.
Yeah.
So,
and I always look up front the abstracts and look what people are talking about. And I read your abstract, and there were two very counterintuitive words together. It was medical regulation environment and AI quality control. And I said, okay. How does this fit? So, and that's what I want to know from you. What's the context of this?
So actually it's curious because if you check out my LinkedIn profile, I don't have this, everyone puts now AI expertise and I don't have this. And for me, it was actually curious how they found me and why they decided to work with me. I'm strategist firsthand. And after a short talk, actually, they explain me the problem, the challenge. So the challenge is exactly that you mentioned, that it's regulated industry on one hand. On the other hand, they are a kind of innovative organization, so they want to play with new technology. So the question was how to play with new technology, but do it from a strategy-first perspective. And make sure that what we do is actually safe from legal point of view. So they have the IT people who can do all the integration stuff. But the question was how to make it safe in terms of regulations, because most regulations, we'll talk about this, they're coming up now, not last year. So a lot of question marks and not so many answers. So probably that's why I was the right person. And I decided to pack it in a use case to present on conference. And we'll see. The talk is tomorrow, so I don't know how people will react. You never know. Sometimes you come and it's a small room, crowded, but sometimes you come and few boring people waiting for you. I see. We'll see.
I think that the topic could be very interesting for the audience here too. So, and I assume there is a possible way out to combine and to make the fit of these two worlds.
Absolutely. In this specific case, what surprised me, because when I started working with this client, I brought to the table my knowledge and the frameworks that we typically use for strategic planning, like strategy maps, other frameworks, change agenda framework, a lot of tools. But one specific tool captured their attention. It was bow tie analysis, which is used for risk assessment. So basically, with all the toolkit we reduced it to one simple tool, which is bow tie analysis, because it's actually visualized for them all the threats they have and all the controls they have in place to prevent those threats. So basically, for them, I think it was like 80% was about solving the compliance problem. And with classical tools, it was solvable, but in this case, it was just one-page diagram where you have all your things listed, and everyone was happy because many stakeholders were involved, not just technical people.
And how did you get there step by step through this process to make that fit, to use this.
Yeah, so actually, right now it's easy to connect the dots.
Yeah.
Afterwards, it's easy to connect the dots, but it was all the journey.
Yeah.
The fourth thing is actually to look a little bit more into the stakeholders we're dealing with, to understand the landscape and to understand how this company works, because it's medical analysis lab. So before I knew only the what we see from outside. You come to take your probe, and they take some samples, and that's it. And in a week and 2 days, you get results by email.
Yeah.
But if you look for inside, it's like a lot of high-end technologies there, a lot of processes, IT processes, physical processes, a lot of testers, a lot of hardware to combine, and it was all the journey for discovering this. Yeah. Many things I have learned just I can now give some better advice for people who go to medical labs to do tests, because I know now what to look at. Before I had no idea.
Yeah. And what is the problem when you're coming to say, okay, that they want to have the regulatory part, but also the new innovation, and especially AI, which is non-deterministic, and how can you focus on the problems, and how can you solve them with the methods?
Yeah, so I think the first part, by my background, I'm a mathematician, by my formal education. And in mathematics, before solving the problem, sometimes we just prove that we can solve it. We don't know how, but we can prove that we can solve it. So that was probably the first step that I wanted to show them, that we actually can solve it. So you mentioned AI is something that it's flexible, it's not determined, it's changing. So how do we show that we can build something on this? Yeah. In my example, I heard it a lot on conferences like this, is like internet. Yeah. Internet is built on these principles. The packages that we exchange, they are not deterministics actually. Yeah. They can arrive damaged. Yeah. They can be lost. Yeah. Latency can be high. Yeah. But using internet protocols, we can build on this, and what we have now, the internet, it's actually the result of this. So my first step was to show them, okay, guys, we will build something on this, which is not deterministic, and it's possible to do it, and the result will be deterministic. So this was a first step, I think, icebreaker, if you want, to basically start the dialogue.
Yeah, it makes total sense to think about it with this metaphor of the internet. So
and more analysis with other domains, like if this company that is do scanning for cancer diagnostic can do it, why you cannot do it? Yeah. Okay, they have 10x more budget, but who cares? You have 10x more courage. Yeah.
Okay, you told us this was the icebreaker to talk more about what is really possible and how can you solve that? Yeah, and then you designed a process for this, like the internet protocol. Was it your part?
It was like the icebreaker. Well, the next idea, I was just trying to understand. Now I understand why, but that time I was trying to understand why me. Yeah. And it resulted that they were following up with me on LinkedIn, and what I do there, I post there whatever I do in my business. So I explained that we integrated AI in our own product, and I also posted there a few articles about AI topics like AI awareness, AI readiness, implementing AI from strategy first approach. Yeah. So basically this attracted their attention, and that's what they wanted. They wanted the process that starts not from integrating APIs, not from hard thing, but from the top. So basically I have adapted a little bit our classical methodologies for strategic planning, started with stakeholders, splitting the big problem, like we want AI, it's big problem. Yeah. Splitting into something more tangible, more specific, like for what you want. We created an ideal picture how it would be if AI could use all the context about my, for example, history, medical history. So it's ideal future. A lot of ideas there. But then we start, okay, this is not possible. This is still prohibited. This is okay, and this we can do. Yeah. So focus on it. And Yeah, so the rest was like, okay, now when we have the problem, really specific, how do we make it more tangible for stakeholders, for compliance stakeholders, for IT people, for everyone? That's when this bow tie analysis thing came up. So I just showed them like an example that they liked it very much because it's like one page and they see all the metrics they want to have. And most important, they can show it as a proof to regulator that they actually implemented certain controls. So I would say it was like 80% classical job of strategist rather than low-level implementation.
It sounds it makes so much sense what you say, because when we have a big problem, then we go a strategic way and decide to cut it in things we can solve, which we cannot solve. But as you said, when we talk about AI in nowadays in the companies, they are just dealing with APIs, with all the protocols and doing the stuff and trying out and making experiments, but not with the big picture in the mind.
Exactly. And I think another thing that is important at any kind of implementation like this is to give a sense of how this will be developed in future. Because those guys, they're not IT people. And I'm in IT for more than 20 years, yeah? So I created my first product in 2000, yeah? So many years passed. And I know what happens with product. You know what it is. But they are not IT people. They don't know. We know what happens. Legacy is getting accumulated. The architectural problem is appearing. So with AI, it's for us, it's another digital transformation. So we know that it's not just rushing and implementing APIs. It's about thinking about architecture, thinking about how it will be developing. And actually, the architecture that we developed together with their team, it's really compatible with their ideas of agentic AI that is coming up now. So that's another reason why they are really happy. It's not something. It's not a surprise for them. They don't ask, okay, and now how we do, like, migrate the old stuff to the new approach. It was quite a logical step for them. They don't have this agentic approach yet, but it's architecturally it's possible.
Yeah. Okay. So you may had always the foundation for the future there in the architecture.
Yeah, I think that's the difference. If you ask ChatGPT the same question, it will give you a perfectly vague, detailed answer, but it won't think this long term. Yeah, and that's the difference, like between hiring people like you and me, and just asking advice for AI. You expect us to be more long-term visionaries in this context.
When we talk about the regulations, you mentioned that they are always looking for documentation and for proof and for traceability and all this stuff. How did you address that in that context?
Well, actually, it's interesting. First of all, it was like end of 2024. But that time it was not published. But in 2025, I think August, July, a report came out from European Union that was a kind of overview of state of AI in healthcare. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was expecting to have like earlier. But what they say basically, it's a 40th page, I think, document, executive summary. I will have it on my slides. The most important conclusion they made, that to make AI possible in medical domain, we need to combine strategy, we need to combine funding, we need to combine stakeholders, we need to combine regulation, we need to combine all this stuff. So basically they gave a rationale for strategic first implementation. So it was easy part. I would expect it to come earlier. And well, in terms of making it possible, collecting evidence is easy when you know what you need to collect, when you're focused enough. It's easy to come up with controls that will ensure that people actually use AI in a compliant way when you focus on specific controls. So probably one of the thoughts I share during my presentation is that instead of trying to solve AI problem, like a very big AI problem, implementing AI in all organizations, make us AI first, how they say, focus on a very specific, tangible thing that you can do and show the value for your stakeholders, I don't know, in 1 month. And this solves a lot of challenges, including the challenge of regulation. You understand what kind of evidence you need to collect. You try it with one big thing, and then you can move to another, you can scale.
Yeah, sounds great. Do you have this product or project? Is it gone through the regulation? Is it already approved for usage and audited from the regulatory side?
Actually, for this quality control, there are 2 parts. One is when, imagine that a device that you're using for testing is generating some error, and it's you need to make sure that this error is not coming to the final outcome. So this is not regulated at all. So it's your responsibility, and you need to make it good. And in terms of regulations, there are specific checkboxes that you need to check before you can actually use it. So it's not like getting a certificate for this. It's like you read the requirements and you get compliant with this. If you want, later you can get some certification for this, but unfortunately, right now for this very specific challenge, there is simply no regulations. Some try to protect themselves by getting standard ISO certificates, but it will be just general certifications that you do your best to learn from your mistakes. So basically, that's the idea that the regulation is not that strict, actually. If you don't do crazy things like, training AI on patients' data or sharing personal data, don't do this anyway. The regulation is not that strict, but you need to limit the scope of implementation a little bit, because from that ideal picture that I mentioned, we have to remove like 2 or 3 options because of regulation is not clear now. At the same time, we see the release of OpenAI released in January. It was ChatGPT Health or something like this. And people ask, why if they can do this, why cannot you do it? The budgets are different. If someone goes down to the court, they have budget to do this, and their reputation is okay. It's how it is. Other companies, probably they don't have budget for this. And most important is that probably customers are not ready to pay. In some cases, it's even not clear who the customer is. Because who is the end customer? Who is paying? You, insurance company, hospital, who is owning the results? Also not clear. So I think the main theme here is to focus on something solvable, and you'll certainly solve it.
Now we have, I think, a few people listening and watching the podcast who are also in a regulatory environment. What would you suggest is the first step? Because when they say, okay, now we want also to use AI in our product, how to start? What would you suggest is the first step to make?
Okay, so it's like classical recommendation from GRC domain, government's risk compliance, is to have in place certain scanning for your organization. Like if you're in this regulatory environment, now you can automate it to scan what regulations are coming up. So you know the landscape. The next one would be to basically not trying to solve everything, but focus on a specific challenge that you want to solve. Because if you want to solve everything, it's regulatory. A regulator basically tells you, no, you cannot do this. Because it's too complex for them to analyze. But if you focus on something specific, you can easier test it against the requirements that are existing now. And actually, regulators are not our enemies. They are our friends, and they are trying to make our life safer. So most of the recommendation, except cookies in Europe, most of recommendations are quite reasonable.
That's true. And I like the approach. This is so an important tip for using AI is, what specific problem do you want to solve, and then you can solve it, and not just try to solve everything which is not really a problem, or just do it from it. And make that clear.
To do this focus, we need to look at stakeholders first. Because if we don't understand what stakeholders actually need, we cannot answer this question, what one single problem we can solve. So whatever we do, that's why it's called strategy first. We start with analysis of stakeholders, their needs, and ideally, not many can do this. Ideally, if you can quantify these needs of stakeholders, not just say we need analytics for our samples, but to say we need it within this time of period, with this precision, for this kind of problems, and for this we can tolerate risk. For this we cannot tolerate risk. Yeah, so just quantify it.
Yeah, that's great. Alexis, that's a very, very great insight that you gave here. I really appreciate that the way you can combine and fit a little bit together the AI and the regulatory stuff. Thank you so much that you were here in this show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wish you all the best for your speech tomorrow, and hope that you enjoy the rest of the conference here.
Thank you.
Thank you.